안녕하세요. 저는 스티브라고 하고요. 이번에 모더레이터를 맡게 됐습니다. 잠깐만 한국말 설명드리면 이 웹3에서 제일 문제가 되고 있는 거는 이제 유스 케이스가 없다는 거잖아요. 근데 이제 제가 이제 투자를 5년간 해오면서 이제 지난 3년간은 어떻게 보면 인프라스트럭처가 이제 만들어지는데 좀 초점이 있었다. 그래서 레이어 1이 어떤 레이어 1이 이렇게 펌핑도 되고 익사이트도 있었는데 제가 봤을 때는 이제 저희의 지금 스테이지는 이런 인프라들이 좀 자리를 잡고 있고 이제 어플리케이션 쪽으로 넘어가는 단계. 그래서 다음 불마켓이 온다면 인프라보다는 어플리케이션이 올 거다. 그 안에서 소셜 미디어가 가지는 힘을 여러분도 아시고 있을 텐데 그게 이제 웹3에서 준비하는 친구들을 오늘 모셔봤습니다. 그래서 그런 흐름으로 어떤 프로젝트가 뭘 하는지 그 다음에 왜 웹3 소셜이 미닝풀한지 그리고 이 친구들이 각자 생각하는 웹3 소셜에 대해서 접근을 해보도록 하겠습니다. Okay, so I just mentioned the Web3 social is coming to the market, and then maybe the last bull market might be more infrastructure kind of focused development, but we are looking to a lot of application for the next market. So we're going to talk about Web3 social. So let's start from Suji, the very brief intro for each one, and very briefly, we're going to talk about your own project later on. So please.
Hello everyone, Suji from Mass Network. We've been in the Web3 social since 2017. Glad to be here.
안녕하세요. 저는 마코토입니다. So I'm Makato from ENS. ENS stands for Ethereum Name Service, and we provide a kind of human readable name for the, like how to understand wallet addresses, mostly on Ethereum, but you can use it for other crypto addresses.
Hey, I'm Joonatan. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Phaver, the gateway to Web3 social. And before this, I spent 10 years on the dark side. So I was at Google and then one of the biggest Facebook advertising partners and felt quite uncomfortable about all of the invasive monetization that the platforms were doing. So figured we need to do something better.
So I think we can start, what is Web3 social? So let's from this side, maybe very briefly, what is the Web3 social definition you have? Because maybe slightly it's going to be different. So start from the Joonatan.
Yeah, I think overall kind of Web3 definition typically is about ownership, and we agree that it's about users needing to own their profile, their social life. But the extension of that also means that that ownership needs to be interoperable. So if we have an NFT that you own, but it only works in Phaver, it's not yet Web3. It has to be something you can take away from Phaver, and it still needs to have value. So it's about ownable and interoperable social media.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much same as what Joonatan said, but basically, yeah, it's about a social graph through the on-chain, all on-chain trade. Yeah, so pretty much same. Yeah.
Yeah, they already have most of the points, and I think I'm going to quote from Lincoln, the social network of people, by the people, for people. That's the decentralized social network.
So in this Web3 social, there's a lot of jargons, but one jargon that maybe one of you guys can explain is what is a social graph? I think that social graph is used in Web3 a lot, but maybe any one of you, can you explain what this social graph means?
Like how I know you, how I know your friend's friends, how your friends know your friends. That's like the people connect to each other. That's eventually the society, like the master graph of the society, right? And if it's online, then we call it social graph. That's very easy. And every node in the social graph have different relationship. People hate each other or love each other. It can be anyone. So that's the social graph, and I think that's the core of social network. And all the interaction are just following the graphs, yeah, following the connections, yeah.
Oh, okay. So now I think we can little go deeper. Each company or each project has very different product service and different maybe target users. So we can talk about from high level, and you can share with the audience that what kind of service or product are you guys offering to users or maybe to other company if you guys are B2B rather than B2C. So let's start from Makoto-san. So how ENS is, what is ENS? What kind of product people can enjoy or use?
Yeah, so we provide kind of probably within a social ecosystem, we are the more of the infrastructure layer, and we provide an identity service for any web services. When I introduced ENS, I initially said, like, you can have a name for the Ethereum address. We call it for lookup, which, like, if you go to MetaMask and if you type vitalik.eth name, you see the address. But we have another thing called primary name, or we call reverse lookup, that you can also associate your main ENS name, which tied into your address. And what that enables is that every time you log into any Ethereum or similar, any kind of website such as like dApps, like Uniswap or even, like OpenSea, as soon as you connect to your wallet, actually these dApps can look up ENS protocol, which is just another smart contract on Ethereum, to see what name it is. And if you log in, for example, Uniswap 1inch, it actually shows your ENS as a user ID. That's where, like, we provide a, like, identity layer, and it's great. Like, it's actually portable, interoperable. That it's not just like Ethereum ecosystem, but like there are many chains which is so-called EVM compatible, like Ethereum virtual machine. They happen to have the same Ethereum address. So any like blockchain system which has the same wallet address structure and integrate with ENS, you can see your ENS name as your on-chain identity. That's what we do.
Before we move to next, so the ENS is, so everyone knows that the wallet address is a long word address, 0x ABCDEFG, right? So, but if you wanna hang out in Web3 space, you at least wanna know, I wanna hang out with the Makato-san, I wanna send something to Suji, I have to memorize this OX like 25 different digits, which is very inefficient. 그 ENS를 갖고 있으면 이제 steve.eth라는 주소를 가지고 있어서 그 안에 이 20개 뭐 몇십 개가 되는 어드레스가 보이지 않고요. 이 친구가 저한테 뭘 보내고 싶을 때 보통 때는 이 20디짓을 외워서 넣어야 되는 주소라면 그냥 steve.eth라는 그 저희가 human recognizable address 네임 태그를 생각하시면 됩니다. 그래서 원래 웹3 안에서 제가 갖고 있는 네임 태그 그거를 만드는 것이 ENS라고 보시면 됩니다. Okay, let's move to Joonatan.
Yeah, so Phaver is a social app where we started building on that concept of how do we make social both ownable and interoperable. So first to enable that, we partnered up with Lens Protocol. We were the first mobile app on Lens, and we're still the biggest app on Lens. And right now, Phaver has around 100,000 weekly users. And we also integrated with CyberConnect, and we'll plan to integrate Farcaster in the near future, so you can use many different social graphs and social networks in one application. And then you can also start earning rewards by using the application and building your social credibility based on your NFTs and soon, for example, your ENS name and other credentials inside your wallets. So we try to make social also more kind of rewarding for the users and more honest, where you don't have the scammers and fake users making trouble like you do in Web2.
여기서 let me step back a little bit. So 여기서 말하는 것 중에 여러분이 아시면 좋은 거는 이제 렌즈 프로토콜이라고 하는 것이요. 여러분도 아신 디파이 아베라는 그 디파이 프로토콜이 있습니다. 거의 넘버원 뭐 탑 디파이 프로젝트 거기 파운더가 만든 이제 소셜 플랫폼이라고 보시면 되고요. 그 렌즈 프로토콜 위에 올라타는 것이 지금 이 Phaver이고요. 그래서 어떤 거가 할 수 있냐 뭐 여러 가지 얘기가 있는데 이런 거가 있습니다. 여기 소셜 애플리케이션 들어가서 내가 뭐 포스트를 하고 이제 블로그 포스팅을 했을 때 if someone likes it 뭐 인터랙 하다 보면 거기서 리워드 포인트를 받을 수 있고 그 리워드 포인트를 통해서 you can use a reward point inside of Phaver. 그래서 어떻게 보시면은 그런 share to earn or share to earn, what was the business model you guys say? Share to earn?
Yeah, now we realize the to earns have a bad reputation
Okay,
nowadays.
so forget about it.
But you can earn by using the application and producing value.
Okay, 그렇다고 합니다. Let's go to Suji.
Yeah, so the one we started is 2017. Basically, there's no one doing social network. It's super early, and I always have this idea like Twitter and Facebook will go to decentralized social, maybe in different way. Hopefully they will do. And I didn't expect Elon came in But I think all I predicted somehow came true. So what we try to do is like we see there's so many Web2 social graph out there, and the user kind of stuck there. They weren't able to move. The data is like also stuck there. So what we're trying to do is say, hey, no matter you go to Lens, like Ficaster or Stay Mask or whatever, you have to have a bridge to kind of connect all these data and then port all these social graphs out of the existing, castles of the Web2 giants, right? So that's what we built. We first start with the extension, and we have many cool things on top of the Twitter. Then we realized, okay, Telegram, Facebook, Instagram, also pretty cool. We support all these. Then we also have our own DID, our own app. Basically, that's the things we've been doing. Since we launched Token, we also realized, oh, this is actually not a standalone world. It's not really one-on-one. It need to be a huge community, a huge developer community together against the old evil world, right? So we have our grants, we have our venture arm, just try to say, hey, if you need help, maybe we can help you. That's basically the mass network idea. I think eventually there will be maybe a Web3 Tencent or Web3 SoftBank, but it's more community owned. That's, I think, going to be the future of 10-year social network. Yeah.
여기서 또 제가 한마디 드리면 좀 big picture. 여기 이제 두 명은 어떻게 보면 이제 Web3에서 이제 born한 Web3에서 태어난 이런 어플리케이션을 보시면 되고요. 또 Mask Network 같은 쪽은 이제 Web2 쪽에 조금 더 가까이 있다고 보시면 됩니다. 예를 들면 트위터, 페이스북 유저들이 그들의 그 플랫폼에서 Web3 펑션을 즐길 수 있는, 그래서 어떻게 Mass Network는 이 트위터, 페이스북 유저들이 크립토 보내고 할 수 있는 걸 도와주는 인프라스트럭처라고 봅니다. 그래서 이 친구들이 에임하는 거는 이 Web2 유저스를 Web3로 가져온다. 이것을 아마 미션으로 가지고 움직이는 프로젝트라고 보시면 됩니다. Okay, so now I hope that audience know the high level of what you guys do. So I will break it down to a little bit more deeper. So I want to start with the Makato-san first, because I recently read your the interview with the Cointelegraph and a few other things that posted actually for last 72 hours. I read them all, and you have a very strong philosophy in decentralized social media. So I want to just throw out the very big question to you. So how ENS, your product, your projects, will play the role in this decentralized social media boom that we expect to come?
Yeah, I'm glad you read it. I actually had an interview yesterday, and I haven't read the article yet. So
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So as I initially mentioned in the introduction, like we are more the identity layer and the infrastructure level. So like it's not more that like we are not like Twitter competitor or anything that you can post something, but we are more like giving you identity to the any Web3 system it once connected. So like as soon as like again like if you're an NFT artist, like no matter which platform you use, OpenSea or like any other of them, as long as you use the same wallet address, and if you have a primary name set, it actually shows as your identity. And also, like if you are into something like a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, and stuff, and if you vote again using your publicly known primary name, that acts as your own chain trail. So like we are basically giving, providing any system which might not be like conventional meaning of like social system, but like everything you do is actually social activity, right? Like it's not about like tweeting or Instagramming. Any activity you do is the actually social activity, and we try to make it emerge as kind of social graph, and we make it more like easy to identify and discoverable. That's kind of what we provide. Yeah.
One follow-up question. So how do you try to get users, what type of, you said everything we do is social.
Yeah.
Any particular part of or segment or activity ENS is now pushing hard to get ENS out to? Yeah, tell us more about that.
So, okay, thank you for that. Yeah, so this one is, I don't know if you guys can see. Actually, my ENS name is written on this card, and you call this as a Web3 business card. And what it does is like, I don't know if you guys, actually, how many of you have Ethereum wallet?
Raise your hand, please.
Is that half?
Oh, pretty much.
How many of you have ENS names?
Oh,
Okay,
it's
more or less
impressive.
same. How many of you know a thing called POAP, Proof of Attendance Protocol? Or that, okay, that's good. So Proof of Attendance Protocol is actually interesting that it's actually the NFT badge to say, oh, you attended this event. But we partner with the POAP and the other companies to issue this card. It's an NFC kind of embedded chip card, so that if you tap your wallet.
Very easy. I just tried.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, can you do that?
Yeah, it's gonna pop up. You're gonna
Yeah,
open the
and
web.
it actually mints the NFT badge to say like you've met Matokun.is. And what's interesting is it's actually turning in real life social activity into on-chain. So like, that's another thing I mentioned, that, like, currently if you exchange business card, you just like check it in and you have no regression of like who you met in or event. But like I actually go to every event I go, I actually like do my own like portfolio, profile, and then create a new POP, and I give to people. So like by looking at my POP collection, I can kind of have rough understanding of who I met at which event, and by looking at, and then POP does provide a list of names, but what's interesting is by combining checking with other things, like I think some of you guys provide is like linking with like Twitter Web2 information and stuff, so you can see, oh, this person went to this event, or who voted what, and or like what kind of NFT it does, and it's actually kind of you can see all the emerge like off-chain activity into kind of on-chain through this service.
Great. I think connecting the on-chain blockchain activity with the off-chain activity, I think is a very key theme for many the development happening in Web3. So let's go to Suji. So I think you said earlier, but maybe people might be interested in. So you guys work with or partner with or incorporate with the Twitter and Facebook and a few other partnership, the announcement I read for at least a month or 2 months. Maybe question here might be twofold. One is, if you talk to those Web2 social media about what you do and let's work together, what's their stance about Web3? And two is what it means to your product, what it means by partnering with the Facebook and Twitter. Tell the audience more about what it really means, that partnership mean.
I think eventually you don't want to rely on them. I mean, like there's another wallet. They do have something with Facebook, and then after the NFT goes down, Facebook just kill the NFT integration in Instagram, right? That's the bad talk you don't want to have. It's like basically give your community life to a giant, which is centralized. So what we want to talk is actually eco conversation. So that's something I want to remind every entrepreneur in this industry, that when big company like Google, Facebook talk to you, you want to have eco conversation, because we represent the people, the community. And if it's the user and these people want to have some integration, then it's actually easier to do, right? So for example, right after the I think right after the NFT, the last pool, 2021 early, we invest in a team. We kind of like pretty early helping this team Cent. They did a crazy job. It's not easy. It's not hard. It's just quite easy integration. Say, hey, your tweet can be NFT. And we then ask around all the friends. Then all of a sudden, I have no idea why, we have no idea how, Jet Dorsey started to sell his first tweet as an NFT. Is that an official partnership from Twitter? I don't think so. Is there an endorsement from Jack? I don't even think so, because he don't really put his money in, right? But it's like, oh, like billionaires and Elon Musk and Jet Dorsey, they're humans. They know what is right and wrong inside themselves, right? Because sometimes they are like kind of like controlled by board member, controlled by shareholder. They can't do something, but they know what is good and wrong. They know what is interesting. They know what is amazing technology. So they can't stop trying themselves, right? So we don't really PR to get all these OG and Web2 OG billionaire to install Mask. We don't really say, hey, you have to do that. It's a partnership, it's an agreement. If you think agreement gonna work, it's not gonna work. It's more like, oh, this is very amazing technology, and they really want to try. And in some case, very luckily, you will have some Jet Dorsey tweet or $2 million in the bull market. In the bear market, unfortunately, no one paid $2 million for a tweet, right? But this is a proof. Recently, we also have like the PR together with the Tone. It's like spin off from Telegram. I think they're also like, again, it's a huge Web 2.5 applications. Everyone in the industry use them. They kind of also stuck there, right? They're great, but they cannot go IPO. They kind of stuck in the Web 2 business. They do want to do Web 3. So when we talk to them, we don't really just say, hey, we have to sign this thing. It's not Web3 way. It's more like we show you what we can do. So our in-house DID protocol called NextID, we have our app of Firefly. We say, oh, we can integrate that thing, and you have your own anonymous DID. It's the tone NFT number. It's going to be integrated and very cool. We're going to open source it. Then people are gonna try, and the other team will believe. So I think it's more about this. Do not rely on a contract signed with a huge company. They will just breach the contract. They will never like, obey the agreement. Rely on the community. When the user really like the thing, they will like force the other side not to ban you or not to touch you. So that's the amazing part. Even the founder will be intrigued to try. Without the permission of the company, the founder was, oh, I really want to try. I really want to sell my NFT, my first tweet as an NFT. But that's the power of the community. I think that's also the right way to interact with the Web2 social giants or Web2 giants in general. Yeah, because they know what is good, what is wrong. They just sometimes don't really, they're trapped to not able to move. But they do know inside. Yeah.
Thank you. So let's go to Phaver. So Phaver, you guys made a good partnership with the Cyber Connect recently. Congratulations. And then they have around 100K, 100K users, which is 10만 명 every week on their application. So it's pretty meaningful user adoption so far. I think I saw on some article that you mentioned that you guys have a very unique gamification model. I think in Korea, or I think a lot of people talk about, oh, how this business model works, token flow doesn't make sense. This doesn't really capture the users in very short term versus long term. So tell us about a little bit, if you're proud of your gamification model to capture this amazing active users.
Yeah, I think we've all seen that kind of rewarding people is a very complicated and tricky business, because whenever there is money involved, there's people who are trying to cheat, and there's people who are trying to farm, and there's people who are trying to get value without giving any value back. So what Phaver is focusing on is figuring out this kind of in-app economy and game economy, where we are able to really reward the real people who create real value, and trying to minimize the amount of value for those people who are just there to kind of take and not give anything. So we've been now for 1.5 years fine-tuning the different mechanisms where nothing in the Phaver app right now is on chain. So we're able to test quite easily with the Phaver points and Phaver levels and Phaver credibility score that are all components of this system, where we're trying to first of all determine, are you a real unique user based on your credibility score, which comes from your wallet content. So if you have your ENS or you have some NFTs in there, any credentials or POAPs, we can take those and build you a credibility score based on your wallet content. And then based on your activity in the application, you then earn points if you create posts that everybody enjoys, or you help us discover the best posts every day. Then you invite your friends into the application. So all of these provide value, and then we can help reward with those. And then next step will be to launch a token where people will be every month able to redeem a certain amount of their points into tokens. And then the token itself will be also used, for example, as an advertising currency in the system. So in Web2, when somebody buys a Twitter ad or somebody buys a Facebook ad, the stuff I used to sell before, all of the money goes to Facebook or Twitter. And for example, the Instagram creator who spent 2 days making a great video gets 0. So we see that it's important that we build a system where the value is shared with the people who are also creating value in the system. And it's a very tricky thing to make this right and still requires some fine tuning. But we've gotten to a good point where our users are very active and come back almost every day and are very passionate. So we have a good start and now just need to figure out how do we scale that to like 2 more zeros at the end of every number without breaking the system.
Thank you. So I think we're gonna do one or two final question. But before that, quick thought is 제가 생각하기에 지금 스타트업 씬에서 가장 중요한 거는 이 즉시성이라고 하는 거라고 생각이 듭니다. 그 어떻게 이 MZ 제너레이션에게 즉시 보안을 주는지. 그러니까 토스 같은 데가 만보기가 들어가 있고 뭐 이런 데는 뭐 게임 회사도 아닌데 게임으로서 사람한테 보상을 줌으로써 그 앱에 인게이지 시키듯 이런 즉시성을 굉장히 즉시성과 그 인센티브라는 그 두 가지 개념을 어떻게 잘 녹여내냐에 따라서 유저가 많이 애쿠지션 된다고 저는 생각을 합니다. 근데 지금 페이버가 얘기해 준 게 이제 다 자기 나름대로의 그 인센티브 모델이 있지만 그 부분을 잘 해결해서 액티브 유저가 많지 않을까 생각을 해봅니다. Okay, last question. Maybe take one of you guys to volunteer. So, what do you think about Korea market in crypto, and or regard to social, or regard to what you do? Who wanna? Okay, go ahead.
I can
Quickly.
quickly say that Korea is one of our most active markets. That's why we also hired Sean, who sits there, and we made these cool Korea shirts. So let us know if you want one today. But we are very much investing into Korean market growth right now, and we see that there's so much potential and so many active users here for Phaver. So very excited to be here.
Anyone else? You wanna say something?
Yeah, so I didn't know much about Korean market. Like I'm from Japan, so I know very well about Japan. So it was a good comparison to actually visit and talk to the people. And one thing I find interesting is like